Hello, everybody. This is another walk and talk for the InfoStep Stat Challenge. It's probably week 65 by now. We're still going, plodding our way across the UK on our way to Australia and back. Who knows how far we've got, but it feels like it's miles. It certainly is for some of us. So today, delighted to be joined by Rob Squared, Rob and Rob. So just to make my life easy or more challenging, asking questions. So hi, Rob.
Hello.
Hi, Rob.
Beautiful. Rob and Rob, where are you today? And what's your name and where do you come from?
I'm in Winchester and I'm on the local golf course, the Royal Winchester, and I would show you a beautiful sweeping vista, but I'm surrounded by trees. So I'll show you a tree. There you go.
That's a lovely tree. Thank you, Rob. Best tree all day.
And I'm in sunny, and it is very sunny today, as you can see. And I'm on one of my many usual running routes. As you can tell, today it's a little bit slower though, because all you'd hear is heavy breathing. Not the good kind either.
Yeah, that's another episode we'll do another time. Just it depends how much sponsorship you get. Hey, Rob, you'll do heavy breathing running podcasts if people want it. If they give sponsorship, that'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. If it raises money, I'm all for it.
Oh, we've lost Rob potentially down a hole in the golf course. We shall see as he comes back up. He's frozen on there. There we go. Good stuff.
My back, yeah, I lost you. Sorry. All the trees.
That's all right. You're here. Okay, gentlemen. So, how's InfoStep for you at the moment? How's the step count? How's the pain? How's the enjoyment so far?
It's pretty good. I had a rocky start. I wasn't feeling very fit or well right at the beginning, but that's pretty much all behind me. And this week I've hit and exceeded target every day. So, and even played football on Monday. So nice. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I've actually enjoyed it. Before all this started, I wasn't the healthiest person. Averaging around 3,500, 4,000 steps a day, and I'm now averaging around 18,000 steps a day. Unfortunately, I'm still eating as much as I was, so the weight's not falling off as quickly as I would have liked. But it's a great excuse to get out into something glorious that we're having at the moment.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? I've started to feel fitter in myself, but the pounds certainly aren't coming off yet. So I think my cheese, my celebratory cheese after a walk needs to be cut down a little bit, to be fair.
Yeah. Take Domino's off speed dial.
Yeah. I do a lunchtime walk to the bakery and back, and I need to maybe calm that one down a little bit, maybe not have the extra samosa that I've been chucking away each day. So, right, we've got a bit of a common thread between the three of us in terms of being contractors, but it's probably in some pretty different areas. So, hey, Rob C, do you want to sort of kick off your journey into contracting? Why a contractor, and what do you do? Sure. What's your specialty?
So I started contracting way back in 2007, just before the market crash happened. Everyone remembers back then the rates were excellent, and we were all working our way towards many boats, the French Riviera. Then the crash happened, the rates disappeared, and every company wanted everyone to do absolutely everything for about £100 a day. I suffered through that a little bit. I'm sure we all did. Come out the other side, a bit positive, definitely a stronger person. And I've not looked back since, really. I've never really considered a perm role. And the reason for that essentially is I like working on different projects. So on the project I really appreciate, and being a contractor allows me to kind of shift between companies almost at a whim, going every 6 months, every 9 months, or thing, and pick up new. And for me, that is what really gets me through the day. I genuinely love my job. I wake up on a Monday morning still excited to go to work, which is weird, I know. And I hope that never changes. My speciality has probably come from my networking background. I've got a pretty solid network background, Cisco and Juniper and all that good stuff. Kind of fell into cybersecurity by accident. Started configuring a few firewalls for a company or two. Before I know it, I've got firewalls and IPS and VPN and pretty much everything that goes on towards the perimeter of a company. And that's kind of where I've carved out my niche. I'm pretty good at what I do, I think. I'm certainly, well, top 20% UK, I'd even go as far as to say. A little bit arrogant, I know. But yeah, it's that's the kind of thing that gets me out of bed in the morning. Absolutely love it.
Excellent. Nice.
Yeah.
I like how you describe that passion of multiple different projects and sort of that freshness and stuff. That's an interesting angle.
That's
Yeah.
what
I
was just about to agree with that as well. I was going to say the same thing. I think that the reason I haven't gone permie for 15 years is because I just like working in different places. And I mean, I think people who get into security do it because they are essentially they are problem solvers. That's what security is. You know, it's a bunch of technical problems that IT haven't fixed really, and it's something that people need to come and fix retrospectively. And that's really where I started. I mean, I've been doing it for 25 years now, and when I started, there was no such thing as IT security as a specialist discipline. It just grew up out of IT because there were issues with IT. And if you're the one who always gets picked to fix the problems, then you become the problem fixer, and then you become the security guy, and then you suddenly find yourself being a security consultant and an architect, and then eventually I found myself being a CISO. And you know, in each of those positions, I'd learned something new, got to a new level, and seen what else there was to do, and then taken that step. And it's a little bit different when you get to the CISO level. You suddenly realize you're actually at the top of that particular security tree, and there's not a lot of places left to go. So that's why I've ended up doing what I'm doing now, which I know you want to talk about separately.
Yeah, thanks. And I suppose I've been working for large organizations where I've been contracted out, but as a permanent employee, some of the large systems integrators, etc., and sometimes in sort of pre-sales roles and architecture roles. But these days I've set myself up so I could have that flexibility to do that off my own back. And I really enjoy, Rob, you said about the problem solving. That's what I am. Somebody who likes getting in front of a whiteboard and helping. I do a lot of coaching these days. I got involved in training and coaching, and just that whole going into a room with people, a business that's got a problem, and being able to ask the right questions to unlock a way of thinking, and also bring in my experience from working with different clients to sort of say, okay, well, yeah, that's really good thinking, but I've still seen whether that's working or not in another place. I really enjoy that. I think that's it's a lot of energy. Yeah.
And I can guarantee that you still feel like you're a bit of an imposter, right? Even though you've gone to all of these places and done it 100 times through, it feels really not obvious, but it's not massively difficult work for you, right? You go in and you're asking these questions and you think, but anyone could ask this, but actually there's surprisingly few people who can actually turn their hand to it. And because exactly what you say about having been in that situation in multiple different companies, because most people do prefer to stay in one place and they look at it through their blinkers. So I think that's one of the big benefits of being a consultant contractor in security, is you get to see so many different environments and the different issues. They're often the same issues, but because of the way the business is set up, you have to address them differently.
Yeah, I think that's probably quite a key strength of people that are contracting, is we bring a different view, and then our experience sort of solidifies the thread that runs through it, probably to those best practice lessons learned. But I found, you know, even sort of more recently, a few people have sort of looked at a CV of a contractor and gone, oh, they seem to be jumping around a bit, and as if it's a weakness. But
yeah, that's like, a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's like, from what we've just said, it's a strength. But I suppose we've all got our fit, haven't we?
I feel that the whole industry is kind of shaped towards contract in general. You know, like you've just touched on there, some of them think it's a bad thing because we jump around, but an actual thing it's given us more to work with. Our projects are expanding. We're working with different technologies. We're working at different levels. We're working with different companies who implement the same thing differently. Do you think that's a good or bad thing, or an indifferent thing?
I think if you can apply some sort of standardization to it, I think it's good. And I think that's where I come from. So my specialism, which you asked me 3 questions ago, is really around strategy and governance. So I'm trying to control people like Rob from doing silly things, and coming in and applying. But actually, it is people like you, the security architects, who I spend most of my time gathering information from. So because those are the people who are closest to the real problems, all I'm doing is fixing the structural problems above it to make sure it gets reported properly. So I think having standardization is good. Having it standardized throughout the security infrastructure is better, but making sure that that's flexible enough to apply to kind of any generic situation is the best case you can have. And that's where my career has taken me, towards that kind of trying to get to that utopia almost.
Yeah, when somebody says it's like wisdom comes not from the experience but from looking at the experiences you have. And I think with contractors doing lots of different gigs, and sometimes it's not lots of different gigs, right? It's some of them can last a year at a time, etc. But if we can look back and you go from one company to another, we've always probably, anyone, even if they're in a permie role, looks back at their last job and goes, oh yeah, we did it differently. Was that better or was it worse than we're doing now? The contractor has that sort of multiple times, can reflect on what they did last time and go, actually, if I were to do this again, how would I do it differently?
Yeah. What would hurt less?
Yes.
How can I do this quicker?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not always rate, it's usually longer.
Depends on your day rate. Yeah. Fixed price or day rate. That's right.
Yeah. So things are changing a little bit for us this year, and I know there's probably a lot of passion in what's happened. So for those of you that don't know, with some new tax regulations for contractors, which try and avoid contractors appearing or being brought in as a sort of pseudo member of a team, and it's sort of driving people towards sort of fixed price or fixed scoped engagements. But it's sort of shaken things up a fair bit for the contractor market this year, hasn't it? And how's it impacting the both of you?
Well, I actually did it 2 years ago now. I did it in 2019 when it was first introduced, and we knew it was coming before that. But the first thing that happened was all the banks got rid of their contractors, and that immediately flooded the market with contractors. So rates began to drop. But it also meant that everybody just waited to see what everyone else was going to do. So just as I was looking for my next contract, having been in a CISO contract, an interim CISO gig for 1.5 years, there was just nothing there. And luckily I carried on for a few months after that. But I did find that when I finished, so I actually finished at Christmas 2019, but just as there was a global pandemic starting, but there was still nothing. There was nothing on the market at all. So I was in, I actually ended up doing 2 fixed price engagements instead, side by side. And then when the pandemic started, they both just stopped. We just went, right, we can't do this. We need shoring everything up to save money. So yeah, that bit a little difficult time, as I'm sure it was for everybody else. But having IR35 and a complete lack of support as well. There was for limited company directors, there was nothing. So it was a interesting time, let's say, around this time last year.
Yeah.
But then something else, so I went into that instead.
Yes, my
Right.
experience is a little bit similar to you. When they were originally meant to be brought in, I fought at my current engagement, one of the big four, and held on until just before the government said, we're going to push it back a year. And suddenly I found myself being the only contractor in the UK who hadn't moved over to inside of IR35. And I'm really grateful for that. You know, I had a pretty much a whole year outside of IR35 when everyone else in the company had moved over. So when my last engagement finished December last year, and started to look at the market February time, you know, I literally took a month off because I'd worked really solidly all the way through last year. I found that the market was still there for contractors. Probably around 95% of the roles were inside of IR35, and the day rate or the hourly rate didn't really reflect that. And I spoke to quite a few agencies, and they were saying, you know, we've got an abundance of contractors, but no one wants to take these roles. I was like, well, of course they do. And this is the issue. I think the government has kind of done this a little bit slyly, thinking they're going to get more money without actually considering what the eventual outcome is going to be. And that is, these contractors aren't going to go inside of IR35. They're going to find something else. And that's kind of where I am now. I took a role in February, like I said, which was inside of IR35. I instantly noticed the take-home pay, but we don't have any benefits either. So we're getting taxed an employee, but we don't have anything that goes with that. You know, paid holiday. Us for a holiday, it's a double whammy. We're not earning, and we're spending money. I hate going on holiday, by the way. And I think eventually most companies will see IR35 for what it is and start to use contractors as they should. So essentially, to me, that means project-based. Don't use them for BAU. Once they aren't as scared of the IR35 coming down on them, things will recover. But that's not going to be a short time. We're talking 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah, it's definitely poorly planned, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
Even with the extensions.
Yeah, Mr. Newby, do you share that view as well? There'll sort of this sphincter clenching going on this year a little bit, and then it's going to calm down in a year, 18 months, and normalise. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, you know, it's undeniable that it's caused that kind of rift where businesses don't really understand it. There's so much risk already in the market that they're trying to take out as much risk as they can. So they're going too far the opposite way, ripping all the contractors out in a lot of cases, or just blanket putting everybody inside IR35, which I mean, there's no benefit in it for them or for us. All it benefits is the government taking the max tax strategy that they've got in place.
Yeah.
And you know, you can see why they're doing it and what they're doing it for, but having done it and then reversed it and then done it again in the middle of a pandemic when we're still trying to recover from it, it seemed badly thought through, badly planned, and then seeing the Treasury celebrating their successes on the TV night after night kind of sticks a little bit.
It's very tough for a lot of us who great work on the furlough schemes for a lot of people, but it just really didn't count for anyone that was a contractor with a limited company between gigs.
Got nothing.
And everyone was suddenly panicking with the pandemic and was like, actually, hang on a minute, we need to hold on. So yeah, it hit a lot of us. I can sort of feel that on this call as well. I was there as well.
Yeah, no, so, I got absolutely nothing in support whatsoever. And you take that risk as a contractor, and it's fair enough. But when there's no contracts out there as well, you know, if they'd put IR35 in, I probably would have gone, okay, let's deal with this. But they put IR35 in the middle of a pandemic and didn't support. It's like, well, okay, now I can't look after myself and my wife and 3 kids. So, you know, what do I do next? So it was a little bit of a tricky year, but I mean, we got through it. So can't complain.
Yeah, and you're also doing you're starting doing a startup, or not starting doing a startup. You're
Yes,
in a startup mode, aren't you, Rob?
I am, yeah. Which was, and that's the thing. Actually, this is the why I'm not particularly bitter about any of what happened, because I'm not sure I would have actually gone ahead and done it if it hadn't been something that I could have 100% focused on. As I said, I had 2 contracts going just as the pandemic set up. I'd already started the company, I'd registered it, I knew what I wanted to do with it. It's called Procorder. And what we're doing is, it's the way I describe it is like a CRM for security, collecting all of the security data from around the business and then pushing it up through a framework so that you can look at security data at any level of the business to get the insight you need. And we knew this was going to be a lot of development work. So we found a developer, and I literally found him 3 days before the first lockdown in March. Explained what we wanted, gave him all the requirements, and then went into lockdown for however long it was, a few months. And so at that point, had the kids at home, you know, there was no work, and I had a fledgling business to look after. And I thought, well, if I'm not working, I might as well just get my head down and work out what I'm going to do with this, and used all of that time where we were stuck at home to build up contact groups, so WhatsApp groups mainly, you know, going on LinkedIn, talking to people there, talking in WhatsApp groups, doing market research, because when I had originally needed the product that I'm now creating, I'd actually gone onto a WhatsApp group and said, look guys, so there's about 100 CISOs in there, and I said, I need something that will do this, I need to report to my board. And they said, there isn't anything. You know, the resounding answer was, there's nothing that will do it. You can have a look at GRC tools, but they're crap. Don't worry, don't bother with them. So I set about making it myself. And then, as I say, going out to these WhatsApp groups and asking them what they wanted from it. You know, is it something you would buy? Is it something that it would be useful to you? And the resounding answer again was, yes, we need this. So, you know, we started building this this product, which then by July, so this time last year, we had our MVP out, having only met the whole team only met once, I think, or twice maybe, face to face, and it did what I wanted it to do. So then I went out and did a friends and family funding round. So it took a couple of months and raised about 85 grand, just so I could continue to pay my developer. Found another developer and a tester, and we started taking requirements. And then we found a couple of people who were interested in using it. I think I spoke to you at that point, Aid, as well.
Yeah,
I talked to I had 10 different CISOs just from these WhatsApp groups coming through and helping me out effectively. So they're friends of mine. They weren't even sales targets at that point. And they have slowly helped me build this tool, and we're just about to release the beta phase. So we released the alpha in December. Beta's coming out end of July, and we've got one customer who's paid already, and we've got another 2 in the pipeline. Got a sales guy starting sometime in the next month or 2. So yeah, everything's starting to kind of turn up the volume a little bit. So, and I don't think, given a full-time contract at the beginning,
I think he's gone down that hole again. He's tripping down the 8th hole. So Rob was just sort of describing Mr. Newby before he disappeared off how sort of maybe there was a little bit of a silver lining in the space that you had between contracts. What about you, Rob? Do you use the gaps between contracts to do training or other projects or anything else like that?
So when I'm not working, I generally take time to decompress. The old-fashioned way would be to take probably 2 or 3 months a year off. One of them would just be 2-week holiday here and a 2-week holiday there, sort of thing, and do pretty much nothing. But for the rest of the time, it's always about personal development. As a contractor, it's important to stay up to speed with current technologies, current trends. And my recent forte is trying to move into information assurance. So over the last couple of weeks, I've done the ISO 27K lead implementer and lead auditor courses. Sat the exams. I'm just waiting for the approvals to come back to say that I've passed. Because for a second, I don't think that I haven't. It's an open book. There's nothing really that can go wrong. And then we'll see where my career goes from there. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll get really bored. Come back to technology. I've always been a guy. I'll probably still be a hands-on guy, just with another string on my.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's good. Good. Well, congratulations, or best of luck with getting that and what that brings you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'll share some of mine as well. I sort of like taking a bit of a gap between contracts. I do travel and like to disappear off somewhere for a couple of months, trekking. Then I've got a lot into yoga this last 18 months, 2 years. And I was actually over in India when lockdown came, on a bit of a break, and came back in at the beginning of the first lockdown. But then I had this sort of massive gap when I got back to the UK, but I ended up using that to study things like coaching, formal qualification there. And then this year I've been doing Lego strategy workshops, using Lego for workshops, which is like my inner child and love of Lego, taking a box of Lego to work. It's like, holy shit, amazing. How amazing can that be? So problem solving with toys, and trying to, my aim is to get a bunch of CISOs sitting around a table with their teams playing with Lego, and then walking out going, holy crap, we've just solved our budget challenges with Lego. Who would have thought? That's my dream. And I think I'd have only done that with a little bit of the space between contracts. So I'm really glad.
The beginning of my last one, I took a couple of months out, and in the middle of that, I did a non-executive director diploma with the finance.
Okay. I promise you, I'm not censoring Rob here. I mean, as he starts talking, I'm not pressing mute on him. Rob, where are you doing your courses? Have you got a particular training provider you recommend for doing the technical courses?
No, not really. I used Koenig Solutions, so they're India based. Many years ago when I did my first CCM, so 2007, 2008. And I found them to be pretty good. I went to India, pretty much a small holiday, was there 10 days, 6 days course. And then last year, when the pandemic happened, they had a deal where you buy 2 courses, you get to keep them free. So I used them again. Now, unfortunately, I think the quality dipped a little bit, but it's still there. I've still got some more badges to stick on my CV and stuff. But for me, I like a blended learning thing. So it'll be a course perhaps, but more often than not, it's sitting there in my office with a book or 2, and getting some hands-on practice, and then just rinse and repeat. So, videos from YouTube or ine.com, something like that. That's my sort of preferred method.
Okay.
I think the ISO stuff, the assurance side of things, is really new to me. I needed someone to kind of sit me down and say, this is exactly what we're going to be doing. And after some amazing help on LinkedIn, I chose BSI. And for a dry subject, assurance, the 2 tutors were amazing. They taught the subject matter really well. They were happy to stay on longer. They covered every question everybody had. So I weighed it into being like 9.5 but yeah, can't fault.
Rob, we're now losing your audio a little bit.
Okay, how about now?
Oh, it's coming back now. Yeah, it was just a bit whistly. Something was going on as you're going through that tunnel. But you were just saying BSI were pretty spot on.
Yeah, amazingly so. Yeah, for a dry subject, the tutors were spot on, brilliant.
Nice. Lost everybody now. Oh, he's back. Yeah.
I'm back in my office now. I'm here. Yeah, no, I managed to get home. It's the only way that I'm going to be able to finish my stories.
Well, I don't know what you heard.
No, yeah, the editing. I was telling you about, I don't know how far I got with the startup story and the diploma story.
Yeah, I can't quite remember, but yeah, before you cut out, Rob, you were telling us about your startup journey, and I can't actually remember now how far we got there, but
we got
you
up to
were,
be potentially had 2 more sales. Luckily, I was
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
I just lost interest. Yeah, no, we've got that was basically it. So we're at a stage now where we've got our first sale, a couple of more in the hopper waiting to go through. So we're looking for more investment and more people to come and check out the product. So it's at a really nice position now where it feels like we're just about to kind of grow a little bit more again. Which is, it is probably as much as you can ask for in a startup, feeling like you've had some success.
Great, amazing. I've seen you, like you said, I had a demo last year. Was it this year? And it looks amazing. Yeah, last year. It's just like the problem you're trying to solve is one that's on many of our desks in terms of the linkage between cost and security, and how you're doing it is very different. So if anyone's watching this, how do we get to look at it, Rob? What's the website address, URL?
www.procorder.com. Hang on, that's how you spell it.
Oh, sweet. Look at that. Nice. Perfect.
There should be one on the wall behind me, but I put a picture up instead. Yeah, and the other thing I was telling you about, I've got to hurry up, unfortunately, because I've got a call in 5 minutes. But the other thing I was saying was about the diploma that I did, where I did a non-executive director diploma, where I was the only security person in the room and probably the only technology person in the room. I don't remember there being any CIOs or CTOs in there. But it was great for me because as a CISO, I'd always looked at governance and security governance, security risk management, security controls. But then moving into this non-executive world where you've got CEOs and CROs, they're looking at that from a corporate level, where they're looking at corporate governance, corporate risk management, corporate controls, and it's 2 or 3 levels higher than what we're dealing with. And they're not interested in talking about, individual ISO controls and these minute confidentiality risks for one particular asset. They care about the big blocks of process. Like asset management for us, massive deal, right? Huge, great set of processes. For the business, that's one single control that they will use to address a risk. So the difference in granularity for me was a real eye opener. And I thought, we've got to be able to take the things that we're dealing with down at our navel gazing level almost, and roll that up into something meaningful at that top level. So that was really where the impetus came for me to start Procorder and get that into something that was relevant to the board, so that when I was talking to people at that level, I had something relevant to say. And then when I went into my last CISO role, I was direct into the CEO, and he kind of verbalized it for me by saying, I want insight, not data. And that's so true of everyone at executive level. They don't have time to deep dive into all of the controls, all of that, the risk data that you've got. They just want to know what the message is. They trust you. You've been hired as an executive in a function. They trust you to do your job and to know your job. So tell them what you need. Tell them why you need it. And if they want to go deeper, let them. But don't just give them all the detail straight off. So that's the problem we're trying to solve right now.
It sounds like that's a super useful course for anyone in security and a set of skills, isn't it? How to talk business.
It is, yeah, very much so.
Thanks, Rob and Rob. There's a lot to cover there. This is a nice little bit of networking within the team, as much as it is probably for the listeners. We are here for a reason. We're here to support 2 charities, Innocent Lives Foundation and the Cyber Helpline. So I'm just wondering very quickly, just in a couple of sentences, Rob and Rob, if you'd like a message to anyone listening here, but also a call to action if there's anything they can give you that will keep you stepping for the next 5 months.
Yeah, there's definitely something they can give me. There's something they can give all of us, and it's money. Okay.
Yeah, never ask a contractor what they want. Yeah. Yeah, just dig deep. Keep looking at the posts. Keep liking and sharing. If you've already given money, then just get us out further. Get us to the friends and family. And the stuff that we're doing it for a good purpose. You know, I've got young kids myself, and they're protecting children online. They're stopping bullying online. And it's things that, as a corporate security person, you don't necessarily think about day after day, but certainly as someone with a family, it's something that needs a focus.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Thank you both. So for anyone wanting more information, then you can go and visit infostep.uk, where you'll be able to learn how to sign up your own team if you want to join us along the journey. Well, there's a link to our Just Giving page and other ways that you can support us as well with merchandise. And as Rob just said, also just if you've already dug deep, thank you so much for that. It's going to make a big difference, but please do keep engaging with us and keep us stepping to Australia and back. So we'll leave it there today. Thank you so much, Rob and Rob, for joining me for this this lunchtime walk today. Really appreciate it, and look forward to catching up with you soon along the journey. Thank you.
Yeah, on. Take care, folks.